Hello everyone and welcome to Ace Studios. Today I will be talking about different types of tattoo styles that you will see on the contemporary tattoo scene. This first style that you see is traditional, and it was inspired by indigenous tattoos from sailors who wanted to also put art on their bodies as mementos for long voyages. In the 19th century, it became the bold colors and the lines as you see in today's tattoo aesthetic. A lot of the times you see ships or lighthouses in this kind of thing, but flowers are also a very viable option to see in this traditional style. Here's the flower that I drew for you guys, with the bright red and the bright green and the clean, bold lines that you see in a lot of traditional tattoos. This next flower is tribal design. Tribal tattoos come from a long time ago, and they're usually just black in skin, which is really cool. Tribal tattoos usually have varying line weights that make them really original in the tattoo scene. It's kind of cliche to have a tribal tattoo in these days, but they were really popular around the 2000s. This next design is neo-traditional, and I really love drawing neo-traditional tattoos or tattoo designs. I really like it because it does look traditional and it has a lot of design elements that come from traditional tattoos, but it also has a few more details and varying line weights within the design. The outer outlines are all one, but there's also some detail work in the middle that has a little bit light. The shading is also different, as it looks a little bit more realistic where things catch the light. I have a traditional tattoo armband of roses, and it's flat colors versus the more dimensional colors that come in a neo-traditional tattoo. Neo-traditional tattoos often are more illustrative versus a tattoo style, and you can make almost any small illustration into some sort of neo-traditional looking tattoo. And here's this rose where you can see where the light hits and where the shadows are. This style is Japanese, and what's interesting about Japanese is that it looks a lot like traditional style. Now, if you look up traditional Japanese artwork and Japanese tattoos, you'll see a connection. It looks Japanese. With this flower though, it doesn't necessarily look Japanese. So what I wanted to do is do the cell block shading that a lot of Japanese tattoos do have. They have a lot of bold lines, like so, and a lot of bright colors as well if they're colored at all. A lot of Japanese tattoos look very traditional, and that's maybe why I don't like them as much. But I still think it's a good idea, if you're interested in that sort of style, to know what they are and know what you're getting. Now, I do like this design that I made, probably because it's purple, but it's still my attempt at a somewhat Japanese style. Here I'm just adding deeper colors because the pencils that I used, the watercolor pencils, weren't quite bright enough. And then here is the finished design, which I do like, but I don't think it necessarily captures completely the Japanese style. This next piece that I'm doing is a Blackwork flower mandala, and though it's Blackwork, it doesn't necessarily need to be just lines and dots. It can also be shading in black and gray. I didn't choose to do that, but it can be, and you can use this to create so many different designs, from this small flower mandala to something big like a huge back piece or a whole sleeve of just Blackwork. This design is watercolor. What I do here is use watercolor pencil to trace out the design before I start adding the actual pigment. I try to do cherry blossoms here, because in watercolor, you don't really have outlines. You just have the color and the way that the water brings the pigment around and basically takes over. And it's actually really cool, and I love painting with watercolors. The difference here is that when you're tattooing, it's not that easy. you can't just add water to your ink and have it flow across the skin. It's a bit more complicated, and you have to be pretty skilled to be able to do that. Even normal watercolors are kind of hard to control, especially if you're impatient like me. And that's kind of why this one turned out a little faded and didn't necessarily look so good. This last drawing that I'm going to do for you is realistic. I'm using charcoal because what I sketched out in pencil, as you saw pretty much this whole video, is not the darkest. Sure, it looks like a rose if you're close up, but this charcoal really helps accentuate the darker shadows and the brighter whites of the paper. Not everyone can draw realistic, and that's okay. But if you do want to get a tattoo that's realistic, you have to find an artist that is willing to put in the work and can and has the talent to draw realistically. Whether it's a flower like I did here, or if it's a celebrity face, you want to get someone who knows what they're doing. Make sure to look at people's portfolio before you get tattooed by them, so you really know if you're getting your tattoo done by the right person. And even if this rose isn't hyper realistic like some realism tattoos can be, realism is hard to do, and I think it looks pretty good the way it is. Even if it's not completely exact to the reference picture I was using, it still looks like a rose. And if you can draw like that, trust me, you'll be able to get far in the art field, as long as you keep practicing. So here's the design that I finished up with at the end, and I think it looks pretty good. At least, it looks like a rose. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like down below and also comment of what else you want to see on this channel. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell, and you'll always be able to know when I post a video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye!